In this video, we will be looking at a sagittal CT of the chest with a mediastinal window. This means that the structures within the mediastinum will show up white on this image set. Before watching this video, review what structures are located in this area of the body, and think about what structures you should expect to see in this image set. We will be looking at large structures such as the aorta, heart, lungs, etc. Here is a simple cartoon to remind you where the mediastinum is located in the thorax, between the two pleural cavities. On this cartoon, it shows up in green. Keep in mind that this image is an axial cut. We will be looking at an image set of sagittal cuts in this presentation. I'm using this image because it's the best view to orient yourself as to where the mediastinum is located in the thorax. This cartoon image is a sagittal view similar to the cuts we will be looking at in this image set. This cartoon shows the many divisions of the mediastinum. They will be mentioned in lecture, but we will not be specifying what divisions we will be looking at in this image set, so don't worry about it right now for this presentation. In this first image, the first thing I want to do is just outline the thoracic cavity. Keep in mind that the diaphragm, which I'll outline here in red, just the edge of it, separates the thoracic and the abdominal cavities. Therefore, we'll be looking at everything in the thoracic cavity. I'm just going to roughly outline it here, just the entire area above the diaphragm. Let's start scrolling through the images and see our first major landmark. The first landmark is coming into view on this slide. If we are moving from left to right of the body in this image set, what do you think the structure might be? Let's scroll through a few more images and then orient ourselves with the cartoon image. We are starting to cut through the apex of the heart, so let me draw approximately where we are in our image slice on the cartoon image on the right. And I'll draw that in red, just in the region of the heart, right about here. Now let's continue medially to see more of the heart. I'm going to scroll through these relatively fast. As we move medially, the heart will become larger in our images, but there won't be any other landmarks really present until we get much closer to the midline. I want to quickly point out here that the white branch-like structures you see within this black space are bronchi and bronchioles inside of the lungs. I'm just going to roughly circle a few of them right now. In the next few slides, we will start to see some new structures develop, so let's orient ourselves now before we go any further. I'm going to be using a different cartoon image that zooms a little more in on the heart and will show some new structures in detail. We'll then be able to identify these three structures that I'm outlining in yellow right now on that new cartoon image. First, I'll draw a line on the image on the left to show where we are in our CT image set, and I'll do that in green right now. And then I'm just going to label the relevant structures here that we're going to look at in the next slide on this picture of the heart on the right. I'll do that in yellow. We're going to find the left pulmonary artery, and we're going to find the two left pulmonary veins. Now let's identify those structures on our CT image. So first I'm going to circle the left pulmonary artery in this light blue color, and I'm going to do it on our picture on the right as well, just for consistency's sake. And now I'm going to circle the two left pulmonary veins in red here on our CT image, and then I'll just circle them both here on our cartoon image. Let's scroll through a few more slides until we reach our next landmark. At first, we had cut through only the left pulmonary artery, but now we've moved medial enough to have cut through the pulmonary trunk, which is connected to the right ventricle. And I'll draw that out roughly for you right here in green. We can also see a new structure coming into view superior to the pulmonary trunk, and I'll point that out in blue right here. Let's orient ourselves so we can find out what this new structure is. Remember that we are medial enough to have cut through the pulmonary trunk and also have this new structure superior to it, so we must be right about here. And I'll draw that with a red line on this image on the right. So this new structure on top of the pulmonary trunk is the arch of the aorta. And I'll circle that in this light blue here on our image on the right. Here you can see the two left pulmonary veins starting to become less defined as they reach the left atrium, and I'll circle them both here in light blue. Now let's continue moving even closer to the midline. In these next few images, we will see a lot of the aorta come into view, and we'll orient ourselves once again once we reach an appropriate image. Let's stop here to orient ourselves and identify some more structures. We're going to use another cartoon image to orient ourselves that shows more of the aorta in detail. Keep in mind that as we follow the aorta, particularly the descending aorta in the next few slides, remember that the descending aorta does not lay exactly midline in the thorax. Therefore, in this picture, we are still slightly lateral to the midline, and I'll draw that in green right now, approximately where we are. The descending aorta is starting to come out of view in the next few slides, meaning that we have crossed the midline and are moving laterally toward the right side of the body. You can also tell that we are getting very close to the midline as we are starting to see the vertebral canal come into view, which I'll just outline very quickly here in green. So these next few images coming up will be at the midline, so look at how the descending aorta changes. The descending aorta has completely disappeared, but we can still see the ascending aorta, which I'll just outline very quickly in red. As we move through the next few images, keep your eye on it and notice how it lies. From here, we will be moving laterally to the right side of the body. Keep in mind that the structures of the mediastinum are not symmetrical on the left and right sides of the body, so the images will look a little different than the ones from the beginning of the presentation. Since we pointed it out on the left side, let's point out right now the right pulmonary artery, which I'll circle here in red. The right pulmonary artery actually lies much closer to the midline than the left one, and I'll just outline here where the right pulmonary artery is on the cartoon. It actually lies underneath the ascending aorta and the superior vena cava. So I'm going to take black, and I'm going to just outline where it would be. Just like that. Let's continue moving laterally. You can start to see the vertebral canal disappear, and I'll circle this quickly in yellow, showing that we are moving further laterally. The ascending aorta is also disappearing, and I'll quickly circle that in green. The ascending aorta has disappeared, and cervical vertebrae are starting to come out of view. We are starting to see bronchi and bronchioles of the right lung now coming into view as the heart is disappearing. The heart has now disappeared. So if we can't see the heart anymore on our CT image, and we're on the right side of the body, that means our cut is going to be approximately here. Since we've now passed the heart, we have therefore passed the mediastinum. Therefore, there are no more important structures left in this image set that I'd like to mention. I'll scroll through these last few slides now very fast. That concludes this image set. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this presentation helpful.